All right, so as you saw, our focus this particular chapter is we're going to focus on decision making, and now we're actually going to create a program together in Python. So we're going to make this grades programs here. So what we're going to ask the user to do is enter in their grade. And then if the student enters in a passing grade, the program will say, congratulations, you passed the course. And if the student enters a failing grade, the program will say, unfortunately, you did not pass the course. And we're going to use our knowledge of Boolean statements as well as those if conditionals we talked about in that last video to help us design this program. So what we need to do is pull up Python. And then once that's uploaded, open up a new file. And then here we do File, Save As. And what you'll want to do is save this smart onto your computer. So I have my computer science projects folder. And then I'm going to add in a new folder for Unit 3. Go inside of there, add one in for my in-class projects. And then inside of here, I'm actually going to save my file. And it's going to be Unit 3, Lesson 2, because that's the lesson that we're in. And it's the if conditional program that we are going to write together. So now we've actually started writing this particular program. So I'm going to start it off with a comment and say this is a program for student grades. It's going to use the if conditional. And then the last comment, it will print out a congrats message if the student passes a class. And it will print out we'll call it a sad message if the student did not pass the class. So from here, the first thing that we need to do is we need to welcome the user to the program. So this is our welcome message that you should be adding to every single program. So we'll just do a normal print statement and we'll say, welcome to the grade program. Please enter in grade to find out if you passed the course. So it's just a little welcome message to tell the user what on earth your program is going to do. Now, my second thing that I need to do, and if I look back at my instructions, my second thing I need to do is I need to actually have the student enter in their grade. So this is where I need input from user, and it will be the student's grade. I'm going to create a variable. I'm going to just call it grade. And that's I'm going to use the eval with my input so that I can actually evaluate that into a number. And I'll just say, please enter in your grade, put a little colon and a space to give it some nice spacing. And there I have the line of code that will actually get input from the user by asking them to enter in their grade. And then this eval statement will actually turn it into a number. Now from here, this is where my conditionals and my Boolean statements come in. So this is right here. It says, if the student enters a passing grade, the program will say, congratulations, you passed the course. So we need an if statement here to help us with that. So we have if, we're going to say if our grade is greater than or equal to 60, because 60 is kind of that threshold number. And then we're going to use our colon to communicate that's the end of our Boolean statement. So right here we have grade is greater than or equal to 60. This right here is our Boolean statement, something that can evaluate to be true or false. And then notice as I press enter, it automatically indents me in, and that's because it needs me to put in an instruction now for that if conditional. So if this is true, what do I want to do? Well, I want it to print a congratulations message. So it says, congratulations, you passed the course. So now what will happen is if this person enters in a passing score, it will say, congratulations, you passed the course. So I like to either put a comment right at the beginning and say this is an if conditional, checking to see if they passed the course. And then down here, I like to put a little comment next to it and say this is our passing message, or our congrats message as we called it up above. So I can change that here. Notice how I'm commenting as I go so I remember what the purpose of my code was. Now notice it's still indented. That's because my way of telling my program that I'm done with that particular conditional is I need to press the backspace to go back to the beginning side of that program. So remember, white space plays a role in Python, and so we need to make sure we keep that in mind. Indent right here means it's inside of that conditional. So now we can write a second conditional and say we're going to use an if conditional, checking to see if they did not pass the course. So here I have if my grade is less than 60. So if my grade is smaller than 60, I need to print a message out to the user that says, unfortunately, you did not pass the course. I'll throw a little sad face in there. So that's going to print that out to the user. So notice here that what's happening is I have two different conditionals, one set up for if they pass the course and one set up for if they do not pass the course. And then to end, I just want to print out a thank you message or a last closing message and say thank you for using the grades program. And then the last thing I need to do before I quit this and try this program out is I want to finish my comment. So that's my output, or not my output, that's my closing comment. And here, this is where my sad message went into my code. So notice it's fully commented, and now I'm ready to test and to run. So I save it, I run it, and notice it gives me my nice welcome message. I enter in a grade of, we'll say 64. And it says, congratulations, you passed the course. Now, a good computer scientist won't just test it once, they'll test it with a lot of different values. So if we pull back up our code, let's run that again, but let's test it with a failing message. So here, a failing number. So what if we picked 42? We can see that it does in fact respond differently. Notice the two different messages, depending on how our user enters in their number and what score that they enter in. So that's your beginning lesson on conditionals. We'll continue working with those, but you can see how nice they are. They allow us to do different things depending on the input that the user enters into our program.